The Strain, Season 3, Episode 4, Gone But Not Forgotten. This is a pretty awesome episode coming right off of the pseudo-successful mission of Colin and F. They chop the head off of the Master, but they don't technically destroy the essence of the Master. Of course, there's still no Zack and F together, so F is pretty upset and he assumes his son is dead. We get to see Dutch come back into play. She actually joins F in this episode, so they kind of just get sad and drink together and barely survived the whole taxi thing, which was insane when he mentions like, oh, I gotta start locking these doors, which is absolutely insane to me. So that was pretty nuts. But we get a lot of cool stuff in this episode. We get to see Gus and Angel in this prison system, the new crazy version of the prison system thing. The strigoi are kind of just on base instinct now. They aren't working as a team anymore. The crazy, like, suicide bombing sort of strigoi thing where they drop the worms on everybody. And then what I personally think is my favorite thing is Justine in this episode. She got a really great focus, and it was very clear that they meant to focus on her in this episode, and I loved what they did with her character, because it starts off as like, alright, yeah, let's do this report and stuff, and then she finds out about the chain gangs, and at first it was really hard to tell. I was like, I don't know if she is acting like she doesn't know or if she really doesn't know. And then when she got mad at them, I was like, oh, I think she's just hiding it. And then she actually goes to the guy, and I love that scene. As soon as that window came down, he's like, hey, chain gangs? And he just kind of shut down like, oh, I'm screwed. So I love that scene, that she got super pissed, and she goes and she ends up talking with Gus, and she kind of signs off really on this crazy new system that they have, because she knows how bad things really are, as much as she wants to promote the city. And we've heard it in the past couple episodes where it's like, oh yeah, she's saying it's great, but I hear this is happening, and I hear there's more down here, and I hear, a bunch of people died in this area. So it's a bunch of little stuff, like, kind of behind the scenes, but of course, she has to play it up as like a politician sort of thing. And it's just crazy, like, she had to sign off on that. And I don't know where they're taking her character, especially after that ending. But I love what they did with her in this episode, and just kind of, it's almost like a descent. Although at the end, she talks about how she has like a real moment of clarity with being, cleared. I was like, I don't know if this is good clarity or bad clarity, because we go through the episode, we have, her signing off on the crazy sort of the new sort of prison system deal. And then it goes through, of course, we have Eichorst, who's also freaking out with some new information, of course, with the Master being killed off, or at least not having the same level of power. And so he's freaking out. Kelly has to save Zack, because all the strigoi just go nuts and do whatever they want now, so she has to save Zack. And then Eichorst ends up saving Zack as well, because she was clearly about to eat him. And so he comes in and he's freaking out, like he's not super calm. His hair is even like a little messed up. And he's like, what the heck is happening? And he's like, I had to save Zack. And he's like, okay, are you good? Because, we kind of need this kid alive still. There's a plan. We need to follow the plan. And he's just doing everything he can as, the right-hand man to the Master. And I kind of love that. And, he's freaking out. I was like, we have a plan. We got to follow it. And then he has the other strigoi and stuff, and he's trying to talk to them, and he's like, it was almost like he wanted to just look at them and be like, you're a bunch of idiots, because they were like really paying too much attention. And I just love that whole scene where he's freaking out. He's like, look, we have to make this work. You all work for Justine. We can make this work. Like, I have a plan. We can do this. He tells the one woman he's talking to her face to face, he's like, not if you understand. And of course she just looks at him. And I swear in that moment, I think that's when he wanted to say, you're a bunch of idiots. But he was freaking out, and it's just like, all right, got to do this. He's like, you come with me. I got to do this, and we got to make it right. So he makes a really big play, and it pays off. And that scene, I think, is probably my favorite scene I've had in the entire series, because that scene, I don't think I've ever really felt panic in the show outside of watching that scene where all those people were just covered in worms. It wasn't a scene where it's like, oh, we have, even, scene early on with Gus and Angel, when we really get to see that the strigoi are different. That was Gus and Angel and, 3 random dudes going up against strigoi, and they're fighting, against the odds, but they're fighting. It's like, we know what we're going into. We're already, tensed up for the situation like we have been for the past 2 seasons. We know some people are going to live, some people are going to die. It was almost kind of beat for beat what you would expect. The one dude got hit, and then all the other unimportant characters are like, and they run off, and then they get killed around the corner. So, we already had all that happen, and, we get that scene, but they were fighting, and we knew what was going to happen there. And in this scene, even though we knew what was going to happen, and I was waiting for this scene because it was in one of the promos. It might have been the promo for this episode, or it may have been like the full season promo thing. But they blow up, and it's just worms dropping on people. It's not like they were in a fight and they were prepared to possibly die. It's like we're going up against the odds. They're just on computers and talking and on the phone, and they're just explosions go off, and they're just worms dropping on people. And I was like, wow, I've never really felt like a crazy sense of panic watching this show before. Like, I've always enjoyed it, and I've always been curious, like, who's gonna live and who's gonna die. But this was just like, I just assumed everyone was gonna die in that situation except the main characters. If I'm being totally honest, I was like, either someone's not gonna be covered and those random people will live, and of course the main characters, but every single person that was covered, I was just like, man, they're dead, and everyone's like freaking out, like, taking their shirts off and stuff, and even that was dangerous because of course you have to lift your shirt up, so you got worms on you, they could still drop on your face and stuff. And I was like, wow, I've never felt such a weird sense of panic while watching this show before. And I love that scene. I thought it was an amazing scene, and people were just freaking out, and it's just worms all over the place and stuff, and it was just nuts. And then of course we have Justine, who is actually infected, and Fed ends up saving her life. He like sears the worm as it's inside of her skin, which I thought was a little weird, to be totally honest, because he had it on her before it even got inside of her. But maybe the point was, because I'm assuming she's going to have that scar for the rest of the series. I think that's kind of the point. And it's going to be one of those things that she looks at like, alright, to go along with this new sense of clarity since she was checked clear, it's like every time she sees that little scar of a worm, that's going to be like, alright, I know what I need to do. And it may or may not push her to a better choice or a crazier choice. And sometimes you might have to do the crazy choice like she did early on with sort of the chain gang thing. So, love that scene. She gets, checked clear by F, which I thought was a really weird scene, because it was like, when they first checked her and stuff, it was like, alright, it seemed like she was buttoning up her shirt and stuff, like he had to check her whole body, which makes a lot of sense. And then, when he went to check her like 2 hours later, he checked like 3 spots. It was like, okay, not in the face, not in the neck, not in the hand, clear. And I'm like, I feel like he should check her whole body again. Like, if he checked her whole body the first time, and I know because they've done it a million times where it's like, oh, there are a bunch of, you got a ton of worms. But they've also done it a million times where it's like, I'm fine, like, I don't know, and they like rip somebody's shirt open, and it's just like a billion worms like only on their chest. I'm like, I feel like he should have done that. I don't think they're gonna do that little twist where it's like, oh, he didn't check, and so she actually is infected. But I just thought it was a little weird. Like, okay, we've certainly seen this happen multiple times, where it's like, oh, it's not here anymore. Even in the place where they were, hit or something, and it's like all in their chest or in like, different parts. So I was like, I feel like that was a little weird. He like checked her face and neck and her, like the back and the palm of her hand. He was like, you're good. But whatever. During that scene we did get a cool monologue. We had a really good one early on when she talked about, I want to say, her brother in the Twin Towers and stuff, and being in like 2 different types of hell. I thought that was actually a really good monologue that they'd done. And then her talking about basically what she would do if she found out she was going to die, which she kind of, like, the way she was talking, it was pretty clear. She was like, yeah, I think I'm going to die. It was very clear that that's how she felt. She's like, I thought about going out and making a spectacle of it. I shouldn't do that. And then, going to my apartment or my house and stuff like that. But ultimately I decided on my garden, and because looking up at the stars and stuff. And I thought she had 2 really good monologues during those scenes, and having that moment of clarity. I thought, because she says like, oh, well, when the cop comes in, she's like, I need to, we need to pull a car around. There's someone I need to go see right now. I thought for sure she was going to go to Palmer. That was the first thing that came to mind. I was like, oh, we're actually going to see Palmer, because it was the end of the episode. Typically, in any show really, if someone doesn't show up after a certain point, I'm like, alright, I know they won't be in this episode. And I was kind of surprised when she said that, like, oh, it's going to be Palmer, and she's going to go to him and be like, this is exactly how this is going to work. and this is how we will actually, team up with each other. And then instead she goes to the reporter, the last reporters on New York, and it was a crazy scene. I love that scene because it starts off fairly simple. She's like, I can't have this out here. And she's like, take it all, like take the computers and everything. And then, I have to wait to see exactly how far she pushes this in the next episode. But when the woman is saying like, no, you can't do this, don't take everything, she tells the cop to arrest her. And when she said that, I was like, whoa, it kind of shocked me because based on what we've seen, excuse me, if you get arrested, you're put in the chain gang. Sorry about that. And, if you're put in the chain gang, unless you are Gus or Angel or someone else who gets introduced as a new main character, you will be killed off. So we kind of just have to wait and see on that one. I don't know if she's going to actually push it to the point where she puts her in the chain gang to try to get rid of her so she doesn't spread the story or anything like that. Or if it's going to be like, oh, I had you arrested, but, because it's not just the random cops, it's actually Justine. She'd be like, just detain them. Don't actually put them in the chain gang thing. So we have to wait and see exactly how that's going to play out. But I was like, wow, you throw out the word arrest at this point. I'm kind of worried for people because we saw what happens. So I don't know how far they're going to push that, if she's going to be making better decisions or worse decisions. But I know she won't be taking as much time. And I think as far as having the worm, with the scar and everything, it will push her towards those decisions. It'll be, this seems good because of this reason, and this seems good because of that reason. And personally speaking, based on what I'm thinking right now, and based on what we got to see at the end of the episode, I don't know if she'll be making the best decisions every time. I think she'll be pushing more towards definitive, just get rid of them sort of decisions, instead of maybe this could work and it would be like a dual benefit for the people as well as the elimination. And this is just like, screw like minor support, just wipe them out sort of deal. So I'm not sure how her decisions are going to be made in the future, but I love what they did with this. And that ending, I think, was really the small, just the start of the impact of that explosion. Because when it happened, like I said, I love that scene, but it really had, like, all of its impact was because of Justine. It wasn't like any of the other characters. Fett was fine and all that. So it was like, alright, this scene, although it like kills a bunch of random people, it doesn't really have that big impact I thought it would, because it's such a crazy scene. And then it's like, no, once she, was checked as clear, it was like, that's when we got to see the real impact. And it's her making really harsh decisions and kind of declaring like martial law almost, and being like judge, jury, and executioner sort of, with what can and cannot happen in her city now that she's trying to help everyone survive. So honestly, I love that scene. I was like, alright, this is a great ending. And it kind of scares me because she's always been, even if she's kind of been lying and trying to save face, which makes a lot of sense. It's already chaos, excuse me, and it's already a bit of panic as well. It's hard to throw more panic in there and expect that to work out fine. And I always kind of hate journalists in these sort of crazy situations. It's like, I know what you're doing and you gotta give the truth to the people, but it's like, sometimes you just really gotta think outside of reporting and be like, yeah, people are stupid, and sometimes you can tell people the truth and it's like, yeah, okay. And other times, people go nuts. And in situations like this, whenever it's a supernatural based show, I just assume the majority will go nuts because it's already bad enough. So I kind of see where Justine was coming from, and of course the journalistic side, and trying to tell people the true side of things. And basically, the one was just like, I'm reporting the the downfall of New York. It's like, oh, no light spin on this one. It's just everybody's dead. So with her, Justine making that harsh decision at the end, I don't know where they're going to be taking things, but I really enjoyed this episode. We got to see Dutch come back, which is pretty cool. Not too much to it. She enough, just, buddies, sad stories. She saw Fett. Hey, how's it going? And then they, split up. And we get the little bit of info about what happened with the girlfriend, because I mentioned before, I was like, I don't remember if if the girlfriend lived or died. And we find out the girlfriend just left with her mom, and she just was stuck behind. Like, they just left Dutch behind. And her mom never liked her, and I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And it just kind of made it even sadder. It was like, wow. Because the girlfriend seemed like she was all in, and I think they kind of made a point to show that in the last season as well, though, that the girlfriend was always freaking out and it's like, I don't want to fight. And that was kind of the big thing that they had during like the big war sort of episode. It was like, the girlfriend was like, I don't want to do this. Like, screw that. I want to survive. And, they had kind of conflicting viewpoints as to how, to survive. So it also made sense then. It was still kind of sad. I was like, oh wow, that just sucks. They took off and survived and left the city, and she, that's how she ended up with the hacker guy and the other people. But it was good to see her, kind of with the main characters again instead of just randomly off with some people we don't care about. Who all of them are dead except for two of them anyway. So I guess that doesn't matter. But I really enjoyed this episode. I'm very excited to see what they do with the strigoi now that they don't have a master. I don't know if the master, because this was something when they showed it towards the end of the episode, I was like, oh, maybe the master ended up with a body, because when they had the whole scene with the taxi, the strigoi started speaking, and it's clearly the master. So I don't know if that is the worm version or not, but either way, I'm excited to see where they go with it, because I'm just excited based on what we saw, with the strigoi going nuts, and I'm hoping that we really don't get to see the master come back too powerful too soon, because I kind of like this new style. They've already talked about in the premiere, it was like, oh, the strigoi are getting a bit stronger, the disease and stuff isn't working 100% like it was before. So there's just been little things like the crazy sonic boom type thing that was happening with the ear piercing and stuff. So they've been showing little bits and pieces of new versions of the strigoi, and now we have, as like a whole thing, the strigoi are just kind of lost and doing base instinct. They don't listen, they just do whatever. And with the control happening at the end in front of F and Dutch, it's like, oh, does that mean the master's just going to come back in the next episode? Does the master still need to build up, since it did do like the normal transfer? Does it not have all of its powers until it builds it up all over again as it's taking over this new body? Kind of, it was just like, what's the deal with this? Like, how is this going to play out? So I am excited to see where they take it. Something that popped into my head is that maybe, and this was during the promo where it's like, this is what's happening in the whole season, maybe the scene with Palmer where he's like on the ground and he's like shooting to life, maybe that's not the formula from Satrakian. Maybe that's actually the worm, or the master worm, I guess, taking over his body. And it could be one or the other. It didn't, it was like a half a second when they did the full season promo, but that kind of popped into my head. It was like, it could still be the Satrakian thing where they decide to go that route, and Satrakian does give him this cure, because of course he thinks it's for immortality. So they do that and try to figure something out. Or it could be that somehow this worm made it up 80 stories and it took over Palmer. So it's still good. They'll probably find a way to make that work. Maybe the master will find its way into the sewer, and maybe it'll be Eichorst, and he'll just pick it up and be like, all right, I have the master in the palm of my hand. I have to do everything I can to protect it. Makes perfect sense. It would be Eichorst. And then go straight to Palmer, boom, right, and just throw the worm in his face, and it's like, all right, master's taking over your body, has control of you. I don't know if that would work too well, because of course when the master takes over people, they eventually do go bald and everything, and they do physically change. So they probably wouldn't do that, because they would lose Palmer and be like, obviously something's effed up with Palmer, so that probably won't be the case. But I am excited to see where they take things. I don't know what the heck is going to happen with Gus and Angel, how long they're going to be stuck in this prison thing, because of course they're going to keep living. I feel like at some point, if it's not the next episode, maybe the next one, they'll go out on a mission and someone will get infected by like a random worm that's on the ground, and they won't even feel it. It'll be like on their leg or something really crazy, and that's how they'll be able to escape, because someone will be taken over, and with all these people just sleeping in rows, they'll wake up as a strigoi and just start infecting other people, and there's like crap, chaos, and then Gus and Angel will eventually get to escape that way. That's my guess. But I don't really know. Well, we have to wait and see. But I love this episode. Of course, definitely want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite part, your least favorite part. And with this new, clarity that Justine has been given, I would love to know where you guys think they're going to take it. Because I don't, as much as I think she'll be doing it for good reasons, I think she'll be making the wrong decisions. She'll have, you know, that scar, like I said, she'll just see that scar and it'll be like, alright, kill Strigoi. That'll, like, if it kills the Strigoi, that's what she'll be leaning towards. So that's, I think she'll be pushing more towards kind of just harsh tactics rather than help the people and take out the Strigoi at the same time, sort of a half and half thing. She'll just be like, kill the Strigoi, whatever, clear people out, take them out of their homes, just send, you know, leave them on the streets, whatever. I feel like that's where things are gonna end up going with her character because of that little hint that we got, and especially with Fett's theory, which might be a little different because of course, you know, they talk about that like, oh, it seemed like that was a coordinated attack to me. So I don't know if they'll actually go back to that and realize it was just sort of a one-off, but I definitely want to know what you guys think is going to happen with Justine. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.